Special angle pair measures with algebra. When special angle pairs have algebraic expressions, you must determine if the angles are congruent or supplementary. For this first example, we'll see how we handle them if we have two angles that are congruent. Now, when you start the problems and you're looking at the picture, you would first want to identify what kinds of angles you have. So I see that the two angles marked, these two here, would be alternate interior angles. And so then I can say that I know alternate interior angles are congruent, which means I would set these equal to each other. And then from here we would just solve the way we would solve any multi-step equation. So this gives me x minus 3 equals 20, and then I'm going to add 3, and we get the x is 23. So that right there just shows you how you would go about solving for x. Now I can make sure that my answer makes sense if I go ahead and plug the 23 in. So like right here, this would be 2 times 23 plus 20. So 2 times 23 is 46. 46 plus 20 is 66 degrees. And then if we were to do the same thing up here, we would have 3 times 23 minus 3. And so that ends up being 69 minus 3, which is also 66. And then that makes sense. We know that they're supposed to be the same. So now moving on to the next one, again, start by classifying the angles. Now, when I look at these two, these don't fall into one of the categories for like alternate interior, alternate exterior, same side interior, same side exterior, and corresponding. But what I can say is, for instance, if you look at this x plus 15, I know that over here, this is also x plus 15 because those would be vertical angles. Now that I have that filled out, I can say that these two angles would be same side interior and same side interior angles add up to 180 degrees. So same side interior will add up to 180. So I can take the angle they gave me, x minus 97, I can add that to x plus 15, and that will equal 180 degrees. So now to solve the equation, I combine my like terms, so I have two x's, and then I have negative 97 plus 15, which is going to be negative 82. And then we'll add 82 to both sides. That gives me 2x equals 262. Divide by 2. And that gives us that x is equal to 131 degrees. Now, just like before, if I plug these in, hopefully we have answers that would make sense. So if I take x plus 15 and I replace the x with 131, then we can say that we would have 131 plus 15, and that ends up being 146. So this angle right here is 146. Now we know that same side interior angles are supposed to be supplementary, so I can anticipate that if this angle down here is 146, that the one up here would have to be 180 minus 146. And so that ends up being 34 degrees. So to check if I was right here, again, x is right there, x is 131, so I'm going to check and I'm going to take 131 minus 97, and hopefully I end up with 34 degrees. And we do. So we know that we've done this correctly. Now next up, we just have a few examples here. So this one we're going to solve for x and then find both of the angle measures. So when I look at the angles first, I attempt to classify them. So I notice that they are on the outside of the parallel line, so we're looking at exterior, and they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So these would be alternate exterior angles. And alternate exterior angles are congruent, which means we would set these two equal to each other. So moving the x to the left here, I get negative 2x equals negative 120. Divide by negative 2, and x is 60. So that would be the answer for what x is, but then they wanted these actual angle measures. So over here, that is just x, so we know that that's 60. And then here, we would have 3 times 60 minus 120. So hopefully this is 60 degrees also, because I know those angles have to be the same. So that would be 180 minus 120, which is again also 60. Then over here, this one is set up similar to that example on the previous slide. There's no relationship between these two angles, but I would know, for instance, that this one is also x plus 50. And so then that makes these two angles that we're looking at here same side interior, and so we can say that same side interior angles we know add up to 180 degrees since they're supplementary. So this will be x plus 50 plus x minus 10 has to equal 180. Combine like terms to get 2x plus 40, subtract 40, divide by 2. So now we have that x is 70 degrees, which would make this angle right here 70 minus 10. So that's 60 degrees. Since the two angles have to add up to be 180, I know that this angle is going to have to equal 120, but we'll make sure that the substitution works out. So this would be 70 plus 50, and that is 120.